You know those days when the sun's blazing, the waves are crashing, and you're knee-deep in a shallow coral lagoon? Sunburn flaking off your shoulders, and something's darting around your toes. It's not just a fish, it's doing math. Seriously, researchers in Japan trained archerfish, yes, the ones that spit water jets at insects, to hit a target exactly 4 times, not 5. Miss once, and no snack. Over a month, the fish got it right 70% of the time. Try getting your dog to do that without bribing it with peanut butter. A little fish, blue with neon stripes, is flicking back and forth, never bumping the same shell twice. It picks up 4 pebbles in perfect order, skips the 5th, and swims off like a caffeinated valet. What you just witnessed, by counting. In 2004, scientists tested cichlids, small freshwater fish, using color-coded cards. If the fish tapped 3 red dots, they got food. If they tapped 4, nada. Over time, they figured it out. Then they learned to subtract. No joke. In a crowded reef, knowing if there are 4 predators or 5 might mean the difference between hiding or getting swallowed mid-lunch. Plus, social order. Some schooling fish literally vote with their bodies to determine direction. That means basic group counting. One group of guppies even passed a toddler-level test. Pick the plate with more dots. A guy once lost a spelling bee to a parrot, just saying. And then you feel a sharp peck. You look down, just stole your toe skin. You'd think they were just going for the biggest meal, but nope. They could distinguish 3 V's. 5. Even if the 5 had smaller dots. That's object permanence, baby. So you wade deeper, trying to ignore the seaweed brushing your leg like a weird ex who won't let go. But here's where it gets freakier. But why would a fish need math? For one, survival. Meanwhile, you're still standing there, trying not to think about the fact that a fish might VA just outscored your nephew's math quiz. You jerk your foot back like you've just stepped on a Lego underwater. Whatever that fish was, it wasn't interested in math anymore. It wanted a snack. And the snack was you. It looks like spa day. That's a cleaner wrasse. Its job removed dead skin and parasites from bigger fish, like some underwater esthetician. But here's the twist. While the clients chill, the wrasse sometimes cheats, taking a bite of their mucus instead. It's tastier, more nutritious, and forbidden. The fish version of eating cake on a keto diet. Thing is, the bigger fish know when they've been duped. They twitch. They bolt. Sometimes they chase. So how does the wrasse get away with it? Simple, it lies. Welcome to the underworld of fish deception, where the real villains aren't sharks. They're tiny, innocent-looking wrasses with teeth and 0 morals. See, not all fish play fair. You spot a small creature weaving between larger fish, gently nibbling them. Researchers in Australia once filmed wrasses giving premium service to new clients, even massaging their fins with gentle nibbles. But when the customer turns their back, chomp, mucus theft, and the wrasse swims off like, who? Me? It's not just instinct, that's strategy. Fish weigh the risk of getting caught against the reward of the cheat. And if they think another fish is watching, they behave. Reputation matters in the reef. That's not a joke, scientists tested it. In one wild experiment, wrasses were shown videos of other fish watching them. When they knew they were being observed, they stopped cheating. They performed better, cleaned more gently, and didn't snack illegally. Sound familiar? Like how some people behave better on camera? That's because this is a fish that understands social optics. During the Second World War, British commandos used inflatable tanks to deceive enemy planes. The fish, they're pulling off similar deception every day. Except instead of fooling Nazis, they're finessing groupers and moray eels. It's like watching a toddler steal cookies, then hug the dog to cover their tracks. And the best part, they can remember past clients. If they bit you last time and you flinched, they LL greet you with full VIP service next round, like a bad barber suddenly offering a free shampoo. So now, you're not just food. You're part of a long con, and the fish, they're winning. You just got schooled by a fish. How? Well, let's start with the basics. Fish are dumb. Yeah, that's a scientific fact. They have about as much brain power as a human toddler. But they can do one thing we typically associate with superintelligence.
Oh.
They can plan ahead. How do we know this? Well, in 2017, a group of biologists from Germany tried to teach cleaner wrasses to act natural. Like a marshmallow test, but wetter. Basically, the fish could either take a small reward now, or wait a bit and get a larger one. They become unteachable. And that's why cleaner wrasses are now being used in AI development studies. Maybe in the future robots will rule the world, but if they do, they'll have to answer to some seriously judgmental fish first. Some of them waited, which means they have a prefrontal cortex capable of impulse control. And that's not even the weirdest part. When the experiment was repeated with other fish, the fish who had seen their peers delay gratification judged their own behavior. They'd taken the small reward. So they knew they should have waited. This is basically a fish having an existential crisis. Why? To fool other fish, of course. See, these little guys are the perfect disguise. They hang out near coral heads and wait for unwary fish to swim by. And they dart out, eat the parasites off them, and return to their coral hideout. Before the grateful fish even realize what happened, however, sometimes a clever client fish figures out it's being robbed, and in those cases, the wrasse has to improvise. So in the lab, researchers gave the fish a choice. If they behaved like normal fish, they got a reward. But if they acted suspiciously, like maybe after getting away with a big heist, they got no reward. They also set up cameras to monitor the fish and recorded their behavior. Now normally, scientists are pretty proud when their animal subjects learn something new. But in this case, they weren't teaching the fish anything. They were learning from them. It turned out the fish had already figured out how to act natural, because some of these fish have already outwitted trained scientists. Not once, not twice. Repeatedly. Let's go back to that maze with me. The scientists wanted to understand the fish's psychology. Could they tell right from wrong? Do they feel guilt? Surprisingly, yes. In a setup, the fish could see other fish getting cleaned, but couldn't get cleaned themselves. They suffered from FOMO and devised a plan. They'd wait for the client fish to leave, then sneak over and clean the spot where the client had been. But they didn't want to look too eager, so they made sure to act natural, and it worked. The scientists gave them a reward. But then the researchers changed things up. They put an object in the client's spot so the wrasses couldn't clean it. What did the wrasses do? They cleaned around the object. No big deal, right? Just a minor adaptation. But then the scientists tried rewarding the fish for cleaning in strange spots all over the tank. The fish refused to play along. They knew they were being watched and scrutinized. And don't think this ends at cleaning stations. In a study done in Italy, fish were tested to see if they could delay gratification. But the most messed up part of all of this is that when you try to repeat the experiments, the fish change their behavior. You stumble backward out of the water, dignity wet and chewed, only to lock eyes with a fish that seems to be smirking. Can fish smirk? Probably not. But this one feels like it's doing taxes on your pride. The goal: train the fish to choose between good behavior and cheating in front of different client fish. The results? The wrasses would act clean and angelic when under surveillance. But as soon as the researchers changed the setup even slightly, the wrasses adapted. They figured out which clients brought the best rewards, remembered who they duped, and even changed their timing to avoid suspicion. But the fish one-upped the pigeons because, when you try to repeat the experiments, they change their behavior. That's why cleaner wrasses are now being used in AI development studies. Imagine basing robot ethics on a fish that moonlights as a thief. What you don't know is, some of these fish have already outwitted trained scientists. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. Let's rewind to a lab in Germany where biologists set up mazes for cleaner wrasses. That's right. These little suckers game the system like bad students who VM memorized the teacher's test pattern. The fish weren't just reacting. They were planning. And it probably did. And don't think this ends at cleaning stations. Females will turn into males when the dominant male disappears. But sometimes they fake the transition just to sneak into male territory and steal mates. That's not biology. It's Shakespeare. 12th Night, Reef Edition. In Italy, a study tested if fish could delay gratification. It's like a marshmallow test, but wetter. The fish learned that if they skipped the smaller reward now, they'd get a bigger one later. And some did. That's prefrontal cortex stuff. In humans, that's impulse control. In fish, that's terrifying. By the way, remember that time in the 60s when pigeons were trained to guide missiles? Yeah, science gets weird. And here's a kicker. Some wrasses fake their own sex. Literally. So now, as you sit by the water, trying to remember your multiplication tables just to save face, a fish swims by stairs, a little too long and vanishes behind a coral head like it just judged your outfit. Because out here, you're not the apex, you're the joke. You lean back on the warm rock, water dripping down your arms, trying to pretend you haven tea. Just been emotionally outmaneuvered by a fish with a brain the size of a tic-tac. The lagoon's surface shimmers in the fading sun. A few ripples, a few glimmers. The coral cities are run by silent thinkers, cheats, mathematicians, tricksters, and you were just an extra in their script. You stare at the water, but now it stares back. And in this moment, as the wind brushes through the mangroves and something chirps, probably judging you, you finally get it. You're not in charge down here, but maybe that's okay. After all, if a fish can count to 5, lie to its boss, and change genders to gain power, well, maybe the world's not such a dull place after all. Good night, Reef Watcher. You made it. Sleep now, before the fish start counting you. End of script. Thanks for following along.